This time we're discussing the neo-noir crime drama thriller directed by Michael Mann, starring Jimmy Caan, aka James Caan, the legend. R.I.P. Thief from 1980.
1980s, but definitely feels like a 70s movie. Probably shot in the 70s,
It
has
might
a
have been shot.
70s vibe.
Is it 1980 or 1981?
I think it's 81.
Yeah, 1981. So, I mean, it definitely is of that, still in that new Hollywood aesthetic where it's like, has like this sort of nihilistic message in it, which we all love. And we never got that in the 80s and never, kind of just went away until like, the independent cinema movement of the 1990s, which basically started in like 1992 with pictures like Reservoir Dogs, El Mariachi, and Man Bites Dog.
Yeah.
But this movie is lit, fam. Wouldn't you say?
I would say this movie's lit, fam. Exclamation point.
Fire emoji, fire emoji.
Fire emoji, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely skull.
Skull,
Fire
skull.
emoji.
Exclamation mark, puke face.
Yeah.
Gun emoji.
Oh, squirt gun, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. This movie's really good. This movie's really, really good. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of Michael Mann
Oh, yeah.
and all his work.
Oh, yeah.
And you could totally see how this movie is kind of the blueprint for what he does in the future. With
Mhm.
Heat, blueprint for what he does with Collateral, blueprint for like pretty much every, crime drama thriller movie that he makes in his career.
No, yeah. He came out already like with an established style, which is like crazy. 'Cause
Yeah.
usually directors, they have like one or two movies and they like really come into their own like later on. But this was just like, boom, that sort of realistic, grounded, boots on the ground crime drama about, a jewel thief. But he's not just any jewel thief. He's not just like a burglar. He like robs like big safes. He's a safecracker. He robs big safes and like banks or other establishments like that. And he like has the tools to just like open up these crazy like safes with these like devices that are like created by some guy that he knows. It's like a fence and like it's just sort of like this underground world that just seems so realistic and real.
Yeah. And the thing that Michael Mann does so well in his films, right, is that James Caan, he's not just doing this without a reason. Like, he's a man with a purpose.
Yeah.
He's a man with morals that guide him through life.
Yeah, yeah.
He has thoughts about, how a person should act, like how a person should be, and like what you stand for, right? And that separates him from someone that's just like a thief that like wants steal money or something like that. And Michael Mann does that so well throughout every single one of his movies. All his like gray characters have moral code that they live by.
Oh yeah, yeah. They all have like a moral code that they live by, and then once they like break that code, their lives fall apart.
Yeah.
Like once they like don't follow their rules, like everything is like super strict code they have to like follow that like, and it works for them. But then once they break that, it all falls apart, and they have to like regain that.
Yeah.
They have to like regain.
It's about them
the
like struggling to get that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like you see it De Niro, and you see James Caan here. You see what's his Tom Cruise in Collateral.
Yeah, Thomas Cruise.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, dude.
But on a basic story plot of the film is James Caan is a safecracker who is a privately contracted safecracker. He does scores on his own. He doesn't work for anyone. And he's able to, his backstory is that from the ages 19 to 30, he was in prison. And those are like really formative years, as you know, and going into like prison when you're 19 and coming out when you're 30, like the world is going to be changed. You're not going to know how shit works and everything. Everything you know about the world is like living in this cell and like being in the prison and like talking to other prisoners. During that time, he kind of found his own philosophy on the world. He created his own philosophy, and he creates this collage of a picture collage of everything that he wants in the world. Like when he gets out, he wants to have like a wife. He wants to have a kid. He has like a picture of his mentor, who's played by Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson, dude.
Yeah, he has like a house, and it's like this idealized world of like what maybe an American, like a working American, would want. You know what I'm saying? So when it doesn't start when he's in prison. He's already like in the world. He owns this car shop it's not a car shop. It's like a
car dealership.
A car dealership that he's able to like launder his money through, because really he makes his money from robbing safes, diamonds,
ice.
he robs ice. He doesn't rob other shit. Like he has like a strict thing of like what he robs, and he catches the attention of this underground mob boss who wants to hire him to do these jobs. And basically, what he tells him is like, no, I don't work for anyone. I only work for myself. I'm a private contractor. Why the fuck should I come work for you? And basically, he seduces the underground boss. Like he's like, okay, like he like seduces him to actually come work for him, and he's gonna do like a big ass heist because he has all this information and stuff, and he slowly kind of becomes more and more like involved in this world that he shouldn't be doing because basically
he's seduced hard.
Yeah,
like the boss definitely knows how to pull for what he wants, and it's tough. You know, most thieves would be like, yes, I'll come work for you, but James Caan really is like so hesitant the entire time to be like, I'm not gonna fucking work for you. Why should I come work for you? Like, I make my living myself. Like, what do I have to gain giving you a cut? You know?
Yeah. What does he gain? And he slowly kind of starts doing he gets like wrapped up in bed with this mob boss, which there is a cost to it by the end of the film where he has to go back and give everything up in order to become the man again.
Yeah, and this is going to get into a little bit of spoiler territory, but I really want to talk about this.
Yeah. The philosophy of this movie is so deep. Everything is so well done. Everything is written out so much. Every character has a backstory. Yeah. Everything's so lived in and so grounded. And basically, like, Michael Mann created this he uses sort of this Buddhist philosophy of like ownership, and how ownership, the more you own, the less freedom you have.
You're too tied into either, you know, your family, your people you care about, your possessions and stuff like each thing you own is something you have to think about and take care of. Whereas when he's in prison, he doesn't own anything. He doesn't care about anything. All he cares about is himself. And even then, there's a point he talks about where, you know, he's going to get jumped by this big gang of people. He's kind of this new guy in the block. When he's about to get jumped and like who knows what by these like big guys, he grabs a metal pipe and hits the boss of prison on the head, right? The guy that's like trying to like rape him. He puts him in the hospital. Coming out of the hospital, James Caan in the infirmary, he's like, I learned to not give a fuck about what was going to happen to me because I knew when I got out back into like the general population in prison, I was a dead man. And so I didn't give a fuck. And once I didn't give a fuck, nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a really interesting thing. And the fact that Michael Mann uses he hires real criminals for his movies is like so sick too. Like everyone is so just like grounded in this crime world. And when Michael Mann made this documentary called The Jericho Mile, where he like spent like a lot of time in Folsom Prison, and he just like learned a lot about like prisoners and their way of life, and like people who like had life sentences, like how they could like go through lives. And basically like people who had like 4th grade level reading education, whatever, would go, because at that point you're kind of like, why should I go on living? Like I need a purpose to live. Like why shouldn't I kill myself? Basically, like they have this like very like nihilistic view when they would go to the library and basically like go to like the librarian there or whatever and be like, hey, like give me some philosophy about like, he talks about it in the Criterion supplements. He says like, give me a book to read that like about like why I shouldn't kill myself, why I should keep living. And they would become like these very like, they would become like autodidacts, and they would like find philosophies from like these books and just like live their lives that way basically. And that's kind of like Jimmy Caan's character. You kind of see that also with Robert De Niro's character in Heat as well.
Because it's like for those characters, it's like what separates them from like Hell and High Water, like movie for example. You know, like they're thieves. They're like trying to get money to like buy back their family's property, whatever. Right? They're thieves. James Caan and Robert De Niro and Michael Mann movies aren't just thieves. They're like philosophers that like live by like such a strict code.
Yeah.
They dedicate their whole lives to the one thing.
Yeah, they're like samurai.
Yeah, exactly, dude. They're like samurai. Yeah. Ronins.
These guys, like Michael Mann makes movies about guys who are really good at doing their job.
Yeah.
doing their job
Yeah.
basically. And the villain in this is like so fucking good too. You know, like he's
so good.
he's a particularly vicious guy who like hides behind a facade of a benevolent paternalism.
Yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah, and that arc of that character, when you first meet him, he seems like a reasonable guy. You know, he's like talking to him and stuff, and then slowly like he's able to like draw him in, and then he's just like you really see his like true colors by the end.
It's so the story structured so well, dude. It's such a tight story because it really is just like this underlying philosophy throughout the entire movie, right? Of like, yes, he's a thief. What's stolen from him is like his philosophy of like not giving a fuck. You know, suddenly this mob boss is providing him with like this adopted child, this home, this car, this wife, right? And he's getting what he wants, and he knows what he wants, you know, and then he's like, I hold this over you.
Yeah.
Like, I hold all this. I own all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's so good at just being so menacing, but so like creepy at the same time, you know? Like when he's talking, he's like, don't give me any of that jailhouse bullshit. Like when he's like talking to him on the ground and his head's flipped over. Oh, that's such a good scene, dude.
Dude, yeah, just the way he has just this crazy good aesthetic approach of like these like steel blue colors, like the ground is always wet, like it's like takes place at night, like you never see like you see the tops of buildings, but there's never like if there's like buildings in that you see the top of them, there's always buildings in the back that are like higher in the actual frame. You never actually see the whole skyline, like the sky above it. It's always like he like avoided showing like the tops of buildings because he wanted it to feel like he was like in a cage, like a rat in a cage.
I feel like the only scene where he doesn't feel like that is at the beginning when he's looking at the harbor. Yeah. After he does his first like hit, you know.
Yeah, but still in that background, the Sears Tower, the Willis Tower, you don't see the top of it.
Yeah, but it's still like such a good like he's like it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, and he talks to that homeless guy because he's the only guy that probably knows what he's going through.
Yeah.
He just like doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like he literally like he goes into this coffee shop like every day for 6 months to try to like woo this girl, and he finally asks her out, but then she blows him off.
Or he blows her off, right?
No, I think I don't know what happened, but I think she ghosts him. But then he's like he's like, no, I'm not gonna fucking deal with that. Like he goes and finds her in this bar and like basically like pulls her out of there, like kidnaps her to bring her on a date to like a coffee shop, and I fucking love that shit. Like he just literally like he's so fucking badass. James Caan, dude.
But I also love that, like you said at the beginning of the movie, it doesn't start when he gets out of prison. It starts like decent years like after prison.
He's like
right?
40. It's probably like 10 years after.
Yeah, he's established, right? So he owns this little like car dealership lot, and I love that there's the story of like it's like I'm divorced now. I had a wife. I told her what I was doing for a living, and she couldn't handle it. And it's my bad because I wasn't honest. And he talks to Willie Nelson, and Willie Nelson's like, don't hide anything. Yeah. Like, if you talk to this girl that you like this new relationship, don't hide anything. Be honest. That's the only way you can build a relationship is off honesty. Yeah. And he kidnaps her, and he brings her to this like coffee shop diner thing, and he just lays out what he does. He's like, what do you think I do? What do you think I do? I wear gold watch. Yeah. I wear $900
when they're driving.
Suits.
Yeah, when they're driving.
And she tells him honestly like what she did too. Yeah. She's like, my husband, was a mule and he moved a lot of drugs and he got killed. Yeah. And I was fucking stranded in Colombia or some shit like that.
Yeah, she was like basically admitted that she was like a prostitute, basically.
I don't think she admitted she was a prostitute, but she's like had a rough life.
Yeah, she had a rough life, but I think she said like I was in Colombia and like I was on the street and like things did happen. And I think that was kind of insinuation that she like.
No, but I thought it was like she was in Colombia because she was with this guy who was like an asshole, her husband, and he died, and she was stranded in this other country without a passport.
Yeah, for real.
But either way, like that the point of that scene is like so good because it tells the audience so much about our characters, and it also is like looking back on it such a like pinnacle point for both the characters because it's like they're building this relationship off of honesty, and it's like not like either of them are really that happy in life, they want to be happy, and they're like, well, maybe we could be happy together, you want to give it a try? And
just like the part in the coffee shop where he's like, whoa, can we get some more cream here? And she says, what's wrong with it? He says, what's wrong with it? It's cottage cheese.
Yeah.
He's just like totally like he's like the master of his own kingdom, dude. Like he just gets what he wants, like says what he wants, doesn't give a fuck. Like he's so hardened and shit, and he has like this confidence.
Yeah.
And but he's trying to start this new life with this girl, and they like want to adopt a kid.
I love the adoption scene too.
Yeah. No, every scene is like so fucking good. And this like and just the heist scenes, like they're so realistic and just like there's like no real like music going on. It's like this sort of like grounded, realistic minimalism that's like a very like Jean-Pierre Melville type thing going down.
Yeah, like Cirque du Rouge or something.
Yeah, like Cirque du Rouge or like The Samurai or like Army of Shadows. Like he totally like watched that shit too, dude.
Dude, it's so good because it's not like Mission Impossible, you know, someone ropes down and there's all these lasers. Like it's not like they come up with like some secret gadget. It's like fucking boots on the ground. How practically are we gonna fucking open this safe? Yeah. And they're like, here's how you're gonna open this safe. You can't open this fucking safe. You're gonna have to cut a fucking door in the safe. That's so cool, dude. Yeah. Just like it breaks down like, okay, realistically, like a jewel thief would be like a fucking like blue collar person that knows how to like fucking work with machinery and shit.
No, he has to get like special flamethrower device like made for him by some guy who's like, dude, you're gonna be pulling some heavy heat on this like type shit. And like the thing is, nothing ever goes wrong. Like the story, the heists never go wrong. They all like work out like fine. There's never any obstacles in the actual heist, which is kind of like what I feel like you would see from other crime dramas, is that like, oh, the heist goes wrong, but like any heist he does in this movie, he pulls off so smoothly, and he like lights that cigarette in the end, and it's just like cut where like the music starts.
He has one cigarette in his jacket just so he can smoke it after he gets in.
Yeah, and he's able to get it, and it's like that transition of when he smokes a cigarette and that Tangerine Dream score starts playing, and then it's just like cut to like him like walking on the beach like in California, you know, like his homie and his new family. The thing is, the way the obstacles come in because he starts adding these elements to his life, like his new like wife and his kid and everything. And the thing is, he's gonna have to, by the end of the movie, he has to give it up in order to fight back against this mob boss. He has to like burn down we're getting spoiler territory, but I don't really give a fuck.
No, I don't care. It's so good.
But like he has to like blow up this diner, like destroys his dealership, destroys his house, like sends his wife off. He's never going to see it. He gives all his money to his wife and his kid to like send them off so they can be safe. He's never going to see them again.
No.
And then he goes back and he kills like the mob boss.
Yeah.
And, like,
he blows up all his businesses, all his dealings, everything he owns. He gives it all up so that he can go in without any fear of like failing or falling or anything like that. You know, like, because he built himself up so high, and that's what the mob boss wanted, was like, you know, you suddenly you have a home, you have a wife, you have all these things, and then I can take that away from you and you're going to fall. You know, he's like, I'm not going to fucking let you take it away from me. I'm going to take it for myself. Yeah. I'm the master of my own destiny.
Yeah, he gets to a point where he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So when he has nothing to lose, then the only thing he can do is win.
So it's so cool.
Yeah.
So, it's like.
And I just like, just the Jean-Pierre, he's like the American like Jean-Pierre Melville, you know. But Jean-Pierre Melville is like super influential like crime director.
We should talk about him more, dude.
Yeah, we should, because I fuck with him heavy. But Michael Mann, what more can we say? I mean, he's fucking sick. One of my favorite directors. I think he is my favorite crime thriller. And I would say Thief is a masterpiece, and I think that Thief is also a masterpiece.
Heat and Thief?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Heat is like up there, dude, with like one of the best crime drama thrillers.
It's better than The Dark Knight.
It is, but dude, like fucking, you know what else is up there? It's like Costa Gavras is like Z, dude.
Yeah, well, that's like a political thriller.
Political thriller, yeah, I guess so.
But Le Cercle Rouge is like on the same.
That's good, dude.
The same lines. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously like way more to talk about Michael Mann, but like James Caan, perfect casting for this role, like the hothead that he was. R.I.P. Like one of my favorite actors of all time.
He was so good in this role.
Yeah, dude. Like Godfather, Thief, fucking Elf.
Dude, Elf.
Fuck yeah.
Next week,
Elf, guys. Stay tuned.